He is one of Ireland's best-known and well-loved comedians, an award-winning stand-up comic, actor and writer who will perform his one-man routine in Moscow for the first time later this month. Earlier today, I caught up with Tommy Tiernan and asked him, at this time of heightened and hyped Cold War rhetoric between East and West, why Russia and why now?
Well, the most obvious answer to that is why not and when else?
And you did some charity work recently for Russian orphans, didn't you, with Gay Byrne? That's not linked to this, though, is it?
No, and what we did was I bought a Winnebago online back when money was no object. And they got delivered over to my house in Ireland, and it was too big to drive on Irish roads. That's how, it was like a mobile library. And so after a few years of just having it sit outside the house, we decided I did this gig for the Russian orphanage, and then I said, well, why don't we give the Winnebago to them and let them use it for whatever they want. But we were told that we wouldn't get it into the country. So I ended up giving it to a man who was his house was about to be repossessed by the bank. So it's somewhere in rural Ireland now, functioning as a house. But no, this particular show and this particular trip doesn't have anything to do with the orphanage.
How did you get involved with the Russian orphanage gig then?
I can't remember, actually, to be honest with you. It was quite a long time ago. My memory of it, I get asked to do lots of kind of charity stuff, and I suppose you can't do them all, so something must have just caught my imagination about it, and I said yes, but I can't remember, to be honest.
And you've not performed in Russia before. I mean, what are you expecting from a Russian audience?
Not expecting anything. I'm a huge fan of Russian cinema. You know, I would have tried very hard to get into Tarkovsky in my early 30s and was unable to. But now in my mid-40s, so important to me as a filmmaker. And I would be a huge fan of modern Russian cinema as well. So that's really that's the only kind of cultural connection I have with the country. In the same way that, you know, people might come to Ireland because of the music or the literature or something. My connection with Russia is cinematic. And I know very little about, you know, I sense that the downtrodden people of Russia have a lot in common with the downtrodden people of Ireland, that historically we're both peasants.
You've both brought down an empire.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I choose my words very carefully. I think the important thing is just to go there and do what you do with the same kind of carefree mischief that you do it anywhere else. So I won't be making any concessions to anything, and you just do what you do, and hopefully there's people who come along to see the show will enjoy it.
And you'll be aware Dylan Moran played Moscow, I think it was 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Nick Hanford had mentioned that he hoping that would open the door to Russia's emerging stand-up scene, and you know, hopefully Russian comics might end up coming to Europe. How do you think a Russian comic might be received in, I don't know, Navin, for example, or Clonmel?
Well, I still don't know what the Russian sense of humor is. The movies and the filmmakers I mentioned, they're not really full of jokes, you know. So I don't know. I think that what I enjoy about Russian culture is the seriousness of it. So if a Russian, I wouldn't be familiar at all with Russian comedy, but so if a Russian weeper, as in Weeper, wanted to come and cry around Ireland, I think that'd be a fascinating show. But in terms of comedy, I would have no idea.
And I appreciate you're not a politician. There's not a political aspect to this, but do you think, you know, like Irish comics, you know, Western European comics might have a role in reaching out and connecting with ordinary people in a way that politicians and news organisations even, you know, they don't achieve, because it's almost all negativity?
I have no idea. You know, like I said to you, I do think there is an Irish person, especially one living in the west of Ireland, like the Connemara, where I live, is the kind of it's the Siberia of Ireland, in a sense that it was when Cromwell when Oliver Cromwell was kind of marauding the country, as punishment you were sent to the west of Ireland. Right. He famously said there isn't enough soil to bury a man or enough trees to hang a man. So it's a bleakly but incredibly beautiful part of the world. I think somebody coming from there, somebody who, like, I'm living there now nearly 30 years. You're not arriving in Russia with a kind of a manifesto of Western optimism. Uh-huh. It's not like, Bon Jovi are coming into town or Billy Joel. Do you know what I mean? I know that Russian dramatists have been a huge influence on Irish ones. People like Brian Friel have had there's always Irish versions of Russian plays happening over here. The Chekhov ones and stuff like that. So I don't. So it's not like I'm a peasant with a peasant outlook, coming to a place where other peasants might be. I'm not. This. I'm not Oprah or Dale Carnegie. That's an old reference. But so it's not like that. It's more of with great curiosity, with great kind of ignorant affection that I arrive in Russia. There's no agenda or, and Russia is so vast anyway. Like to talk about me doing a show in Moscow is like, it's like somebody standing up in a bar. Well, kind of in Nowheresville, Montana. But I'm genuinely excited about going over, and like I said, it's with huge affection that I travel.
And have you had any reaction to your decision to perform in Russia? Given the kind of context at the moment.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, people are tend to. A few people have gone, "Oh my God, that's safe." But I'm talking to you now from Belfast, and when people used to be afraid of coming to Ireland because of the troubles in Belfast, but when you're here, it's very easy to avoid trouble. It's very easy to. It was even at the height of sectarian conflict. It was easy to avoid trouble. So I don't. It's not like I'm coming from one war zone to the next. But I have absolutely I have no concerns with that at all, really.
And I saw an interview you did some years ago when you talked about once having loads of money and you did that thing you're meant to do and spent a lot.
Yes.
Do you think you would still do stand up? Would you still have a need to do it if it was more than just about earning a crust?
I don't know. I realized recently that my body wants to work, and that to relocate intelligence or awareness from your head to your stomach is a great thing to do, because your head gets hassled and confused and stressed, but your body I realize my body actually wants to work. So irrespective of whatever financial situation in, my body would want to do something. Stand up is the only thing I can do to any degree of proficiency. The only thing I can say to you is when I had lots of money, I was probably gigging more than I am now. Okay. I was doing. I do 3 shows a week now. That's kind of my average thing, But back then I was probably gigging 5 nights a week, and I was often doing double shows. So it was the money thing makes no difference, And in a post-apocalyptic world where finance has been obliterated, I'd still be wandering with nothing from one peasant village to the next, telling stories. I think that's in my it's my way of being in the world for the moment.
And finally, the first DVD I ever saw of yours was the Tommy Tiernan live one. I was visiting friends in Clonmel, and I absolutely belly laughed. At the moment, what other comics make you laugh? Really laugh.
Oh, I have a huge admiration and huge affection for so many comedians. Most recently, Sean Cullen, who's a Canadian comic, really makes me laugh. A New York comic called Eddie Pepitone, I think, is fantastic. English comics like Sean Locke, Lee Mack, Be a huge fan of David O'Doherty's, Dylan Moran. You know, it's an endless list, really.
Listen, Tommy, all the best.
Mind yourself.
Take
Okay,
care.
thank you. Okay, bye. Bye-bye.